Good morning, dear students. Welcome to this session on pre-stressed concrete. We are in Unit 2 of your syllabus, and out of which uh, last class we have talked about the devices, anchoring devices, which work on wedge action. Two of them we have discussed in detail. So those two systems are President system and Gifford Woodall system. These two systems we have talked about. Uh, Today we will talk about the rest of the devices, post-tensioning anchoring devices today. So this is the discussion happened in the last session, which is Presinet anchoring device, where the groove is meant for the high tension steel to be kept, and this conical plug will fit into this cylindrical mold, so that the frictional grip will hold wedge action, both wedge action and wedge friction we call. So wedge friction will hold the bar in position when you tension the steel, when you pull it, right? Similarly, the other pictures of that, and we have talked about Gifford system also, where the only one bar at a time can be tensioned. One is like the other parts of it, like split cone you have, and a female cone. As a split cone will be inserted into female cone, and this split cone will hold the HTS wire, high tension steel wire, and the whole system is inserted into this female cone, and that will rest against the the bearing plate for support when you insert this system into this, and when you try to pull it, the tensioning operation will try, move this female cone towards the direction of the pulling force, and that the bearing plate will hold it, and now the gripping action will come into picture. Both you can see the wedge shape here, this wedge shaped female cone, and as well as wedge shaped split cone, both will come into picture. So wedge action, wedge friction again will come into picture. So this is for tensioning one bar at a time. Okay, right. These are the two systems that we have talked in the last session. So the uh, you have to draw these diagrams, line diagrams of these Presinet and Gifford Woodall system, and also you have to uh, highlight the uh, important points in it. So use prescribed textbook or any other source of material along with this lecture to prepare your notes. Okay, right. Going for next system in this class. So it is another wedge action, is like Lee McCall system. Okay, where another post tensioning system which works on the threaded high tension steel bar. Okay, so what happens? You have to make a thread. Okay, uh, high tension steel bar. Take a high tension steel bar. Make threads for tightening a nut. Okay, so this is the nut portion. So this portion, whatever is here, is given in the inside. What happens in it? So the nut hold the high tension steel bar uh, like this. You can see the wedges, so many wedges that are being formed in the nut, and this high tension steel will hold the bar in position. Okay, so a washer, which is to safely transfer the pressure to the end plate, and the end plate against this member, concrete member. Okay, so this is a very simple system. So no other anchoring device at all. It's just to make a high tension steel bar. You take and make threads. These are the threads that are to be provided. Helical threads will try to fit the nut, and a washer and a bearing plate, like end plate we shall have. This is casted along with this inserting into this concrete member. Okay, so just tighten the nut and then pull the bar by jacking from the other end. Same also, after the jacking operation is done, the threading will happen the other end also. You have to uh, place the nut and fit it with the washer and nut, right. This is Lee Meccal system, where the operation is very simple. We will have a threaded high tension steel bar. So the key feature of this is the HTS bar is threaded. Okay, a threaded HTS bar is the, and nut washer and the nut will hold the bar in position. Okay, nut and the washer against end plate. So the stress developed by pulling this tension, the the hydraulic job, tensile stress which is induced in this bar is transferred through this nut washer and the end plate to the member, to this end cross section. From that to the remaining member. Likewise, the stress is transferred with the arrangement of a washer and nut. Okay. So in this, we will be, we can tension the bars even from 12 mm to 40 mm dia bars can be tension. Okay, so which are threaded at the ends. Okay, so after tensioning, each bar is anchored by just screwing with a nut and washer tightly against the end plate, right. So then the forces are transmitted by bearing at the end block. Okay, so this is what we call bearing pressure, the pressure that is being applied onto this end plate and also to the member, end plate to the member. So bearing pressure transfers. Then what is the advantage with this Lee-Meccal system is the anchorage slip. Okay, generally the other two systems that we have discussed, like the Fresnet system and the Gifford system, you have a slight slip and then gripping the rod when you use the Fresnet system and Gifford system. Whereas in this case, the Lee-Meccal system, you don't have such anchorage slip problem. Okay, because it is like fitting the nut. So the bearing against the end plate. So you don't feel like the slipping action. So that anchorage slip problem is eliminated. Okay. And disadvantage is like it can't be used for the the curved tendons. Okay, it has to be a straight tendon, right? So this is the Lee-Meccal system. And coming to the Magnell-Blatten system, where you can see the metallic sandwich plates. We use sandwich plate, metallic sandwich plate we use. Uh, uh, Wedges, and also these are the wedges which are colored in black here. This is a wedge, this is a sandwich plate. Okay, right? So this, what you see it here, is a sandwich plate. Okay, whereas this is a wedge shape that you see it here. Okay, a wedge is kept there, something like this. The wedge has to be the uh, grooving, something like this. Okay, this is something like that. It is kept in this place. Okay, this is something like this. So now each sandwich plate can accommodate up to 4 pairs of wires. Like as you see, 2 wires on this side and this side of the plate, one bar this side and another bar this side. So 2 bars and also another 2 bars in this. So there will be 2 slots, like two wedge sandwich plate along with steel wedge. So there are 2 such steel wedge. So each wedge can have 2 wires on both sides, so that the sandwich plate, when the wedge is kept, it can hold the 2 bars at a time, and the other slot will have 2 more bars. So total 4 pairs, okay, can be uh, accommodated. Okay, and this is a distribution plate which is kept it here, and the high tension steel wire. So you what parts you can see it here? A sandwich plate, a steel wedge which is kept in the sandwich plate, and also the high tension steel wires at the slots provided. And when you tension it, the wedge action again, the wedge friction will try hold the bars together. Okay. Uh, Even the same logic, this distribution plate can be cast into this the member at the desired location, and the number of wires minimum 2, from minimum 2 wires to 64 wires at a time you can uh, operate, like tensioning operation can be taken up. Okay, this is Magnell-Blatten system. Okay, it's about the wedge action, the systems which are working on wedge action. One is Fresnel system, another one is the Gifford-Woodall system, another is Lee-Meccal system, where the wedge action happens between this high tension steel threading and the nut, threading in the nut and threading in the high tension steel bar. And the Magnell-Blatten system, where the directly wedge steel wedges are used. Okay, so this is about the anchoring devices which are devised based on wedge action. Okay, and the coming to the direct bearing, we have a system called BBRV post tensioning system, and the Prescon system are also based on this principle. Okay, so BPRV system, is very simple. Rivet or bolt head or button head is formed at the end of the HTS wire directly bearing against a block. So we will have a, button head, something like this. So the steel bar that you can see. So end of the bar, the head of the bar, just have a button head, just like your rivet. Okay. So this will be holding against this the button head. When the wire is pulled, these wires are being pulled. This button head, what is formed here, will bear against this anchor head. That is what is against this block. Okay, so that is a simple mechanism which will try hold this just because of this button head. Okay, right. So this is what is called BBRV system, which works on direct bearing. Means the pressing against something, okay, directly onto that. So this is from the direct bearing system. There is another system where looping of wires is also a technique for post tensioning anchoring to hold the bars. Looping the wire is also another technique. So where bar and Leonhardt system will work on this. Leoba system, also Dvidog single bar anchorage system work on this principle where the wires are looped around the concrete. Okay, so this where you can see that the wires are looping, that you can see it here. So the wires are looped to make a bulb form, the bulb form that you see it here. Following photo, that photograph will show the anchorage by looping of the wires in a slab. It's a post tension slab. Okay, this you have to see it as a plan, though it looks like a vertical face. You have to see it as a plan. Okay, so in plan, the end of the at the end the slab you can see at the end of this slab, this looping of this the HTS wires. These are HTS wires. You can see there is something zigzag that you can see. They are being just looped around, and a line diagram of this is available in your prescribed textbook. A line diagram clearly how looping is done. So that you have to draw. This picture is only to understand what is going on practically with this looping system. How looping system is adopted practically. I have put a photograph, but you just can't draw this. So you have to draw a photograph, a line diagram available in the prescribed textbook. Okay, copy that from the prescribed textbook. Okay, and just to have a clear idea, I have just copied down this picture, right? So looping is the systems depending on looping are Bar and Leonhardt, Leobard, Vidal systems will work on this principle, right? So the wire is just looped around the concrete, and that is something like a bulb form. Okay, it forms a bulb form. Okay, so that is how the tensioning will operation will happen, right? Okay, because the concrete is already hardened. So take the wire and loop it around, then pull it so it rests against the concrete. Okay, so that is what is the technique, right? So this about the anchorage systems, particularly depending on different actions. We have three such actions we have talked about: wedge action, direct bearing, looping the wires around the concrete. So these three systems we have talked about. So we are talking about a limited number of systems. As I told you, 60 plus patented devices are available. So we can't go through each and everything. you have a tabular form showing some limited number of anchorage devices, post-tensioning anchorage devices in your prescribed textbook. Just go through them and just pick some systems to explain here as an example. Direct bearing, some system, and looping the wires is shown, something like this. Okay, so from next session onwards, we'll talk about sequence of anchoring, right? Thank you.